But let me start with the Bengals because they have failed Business 101, protect your investment. Back in 2023, Burrow signed that 5-year, $275 million contract. The front office surrounded him with weapons, Jamar Chase, T. Higgins, arguably the best receiving duo in football. But the offensive line, and that's not just limiting Joe Burrow's ceiling, it's keeping him off the field now. In 2020, he tore just about every ligament in his knee, ended his rookie year. 2022, MCL sprain. 2023, a calf strain, torn wrist ligament. Now, 2 weeks into the season, and his season is over. He'll be out for a minimum of 3 months. And at some point, you'd think Cincinnati would learn its lesson. You don't hand out these contracts without protecting those who are making that kind of money. Without Burrow, the Bengals, they were contenders to maybe an afterthought, and that can happen in a hurry. I know it's only 2 weeks, but this is one of those, once again, where you go, if you're a Bengal fan, it's not a question of if Joe Burrow's going to get hurt. It's which body part here. And now with turf toe. And this is the weird part of football. Here's the smallest thing you could injure. It's a toe, but it's turf toe. And he's going to need surgery. But 3 months, he'll be out. All right, some of the other games I'll just run down. Eagles over the Chiefs. My Colts beat the Broncos on the leverage play. Todd not in a good mood today. Seahawks surprised the Steelers. Falcons handled the Vikings last night. The Niners over the Saints. Patriots with a big win against the Dolphins. Lions roll the Bears, and Cowboys escape the Giants. And what a great game back and forth. Wild. Tonight you got the Buccaneers. They're getting 2.5 against the Texans. Chargers are giving 3.5 against my Raiders. College football, Georgia in overtime. Miami rolls USF, my Bulls, and A&M over Notre Dame. Vandy drops South Carolina, and Georgia Tech stuns Clemson as well. Phone calls ready to go. Tyler's sitting by. He'll take your phone calls. The Kansas City Chiefs game against the Eagles. The Eagles were favored, and there was some controversy there with the tush push. And I have no problem with the play because it's just me against you. You know what we're doing. Try to stop it. But something happened yesterday that I think will change the tush push. And that is Dean Blandino, former head of officials, now is he reviews plays for Fox. He says, I'm done. During the broadcast, he says, I'm done with the tush push. You can't officiate it. And I went, ding, 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 ding. If the NFL home office is going to hear that, because they don't have the data. I think from what I was told, my source said they were trying to gather data that would say, hey, we got to get rid of this play. They don't want the play, but you have to have a reason to get rid of the play. And the reason was going to be, oh, look at the injuries. Well, they didn't have the data. And then all of a sudden you're going, okay, yeah, I guess it's back in. Well, when Dean Blandino said that yesterday, I thought, there is the out. The NFL can say, we can't officiate this play. We can't see everything that's going on. Well, there were a couple of things you could see, and they couldn't officiate that because it looked like there was false start or the Chiefs were lined up in the neutral zone. These are all things that can be officiated. But when Dean Blandino said that, I thought the NFL has its out because they don't have the injury information, but we just can't officiate this play. Now, it's not fair, to the Eagles because the Eagles, they designed this play. Everybody can run this play. They're not the only ones. It's not like, hey, that's our play. You can't run that. And that's why I said, I can't penalize the Eagles because they're really good at this play. But the officials have to be really good at that play as well. And they weren't yesterday. Now, did I think the Eagles were better than the Chiefs? Yes, I did yesterday. But, this is going to be oh my gosh, the Chiefs are 0-2. Okay, they weren't supposed to win this one. They have a game on the road against the Chargers, and Justin Herbert has one of the best games of his career. These people who bail after one game or two games, you bail, don't come back. Like the Lions after week one, lost their coordinators. I don't know. Now, the Bears can make anybody look good, apparently. But even with this, the Eagles are the best team in football right now. And they proved it. They went to Kansas City, but it was a close game. It just, we get on a bandwagon, and then all of a sudden it's like, I'm off the Arch Manning bandwagon. Paul Feinbaum, who I have great respect for, but he, fallen victim to the hot take squad here. And then, hey, this guy's the best, most talented quarterback since Tim Tebow. And I went, how do we know this? There's no sample size where you go, yep, teams are going to tank for Arch Manning. I went, golly, can we slow down on saying stupid things? I get it. You want somebody to notice you. You're going to say these crazy things. I have no reason to believe Arch Manning. If Arch Manning is not Arch Manning, this would not be a discussion. Oh, but his grandfather and his uncles, and I get all of those things. I want to see what he does. I was fair to him against Ohio State. Extremely tough conditions. But, when you're playing UTEP, I expect you to light it up, unless he's injured. That was the only caveat I would add to this. Let me see what he does. Let's be fair to him. We're hyping him. He's not. Now, he's taking advantage of the hype with NIL, and I would have discouraged him from doing that. First year, I would have said, you don't need the money, just go out. Like Andrew Luck did this his first year in the NFL. RG3 got all the commercials. Andrew Luck said, no, I'm just going to go in and play football. I would have told Arch, don't do it. Your family's got money, don't do it. Because then you go to those commercial breaks after you've, thrown an interception or, got sacked, and it's not a good look there. But besides that, I got to give him a chance here. Everybody was in on J.J. McCarthy, right? Maybe not so much today after last night. That's what we've become. It's so, I got to get this out. I got to have a hot take. You don't have to. Rex Ryan said Russell Wilson can't play. That was a week ago. Can Russ still play? Now, he's somewhere in between week 1 and week 2, and the Cowboys' defense. Well, imagine if the Cowboys had a pass rusher yesterday. But Russ can throw the deep ball. And Dallas let him throw the deep ball. But Rex Ryan said Russell Wilson can't play anymore. Do you stand by that? Hey, you got to get Jackson Dart in there. You don't. Have some patience. Let Russ play for a month and then see what you have with the team. And Russ played well enough to win. And I don't know, the interception, I don't know if that's on him. I'll have to wait. The guys who break down film, it looked like it might have been the wrong pass route run by Neighbors. Might have been, in fairness to Russ. But he did play really well. But, man, do we want to – we got it all figured out. We do not have it figured out. As much as we think we do, we don't. Yes, Paulie.
I have a 5-minute poll question before we get to our normal who had the worst weekend poll question. Should the Cincinnati Bengals call the Atlanta Falcons this morning about Kirk Cousins?
If you think that your team legitimately is going to make the playoffs, I would probably stay with, Jake Browning. He's not as good as Kirk Cousins, but Cousins is going to cost you a lot of money. Now, I think the better question that Paulie asked is, should the Falcons call the Bengals?
Yeah.
Hey, Kirk Cousins. I mean, Michael Penix Jr. III played well last night, right? You could get Kirk Cousins off the books. I would at least inquire. But if I'm the Bengals, and the Bengals are thrifty, I'm trying to be kind.
As is Kirk Cousins.
Yeah, thrifty. I would stay with Jake Browning. I mean, you got two really good receivers who need to act like two really good receivers here. But 3 months, boy, that's your season right there. Can you still carve out 9 wins? I mean, they got the win yesterday against Jacksonville. That's the important part of this. But And you start to look at these situations. And that's why when you make predictions, Joe Burrow was MVP like last year. He was unbelievable. If they make the playoffs, maybe he's your MVP. Although, Josh Allen and Lamar had spectacular years. But, you're trying to figure out, okay, he's going to be MVP this year. Bengals going to make the playoffs. Now that's gone. Watching, people all in. The Pittsburgh Steelers. Oh, okay. Aaron Rodgers, yeah, no, against Seattle. So these things, you're trying to figure them out in real time. Are you off Kansas City? You were off Detroit? There's a market correction that happens every single year. Somebody's going to be really good, better than you thought. Somebody's not going to be as good. Couple of teams. Maybe that team is Kansas City. Maybe they're not as good as we thought. I think the Raiders are better. The Chargers are better. The Broncos. How about the Niners? Mac Jones, 2-0. They're banged up too. Yes, Marvin.
It's amazing what happens when you give that guy a chance.
Well, I didn't think they would fall off that much because Mac Jones is sort of a Brock Purdy type quarterback. And they were interested in Mac Jones when he was coming out. So I'm not surprised at that. He should be pretty good. He got experience. Maybe he uses this to get a new contract someplace else. Maybe it's like Sam Darnold. Sam Darnold with Seattle. How about that? Big win on the road. All right, so we'll get to phone calls, best and worst of the weekend, what you saw that you liked, you didn't like. We'll talk some college football coming up as well. E.J. Manuel, ESPN college football analyst, former NFL quarterback. Bill Cowher of the Steelers will stop by. Well, he's of CBS, but you think of Cowher, you think Steelers. Seton, you have poll questions for us?
Heck yeah, dude.
After the break?
Heck yeah, dude.
Okay, all right, fair enough. How's morale? Sorry, I know you're down.
I'll rally. I'm just. That was a tough one to take.
I would like to have seen what you look like.
You did not want to see that. My wife had to deal with that. She was right next to me, and she.
What did it sound like?
I was just so frustrated by letting Daniel Jones look like Joe Montana. Over 300 yards passing, 165 yards rushing. They give up to Taylor. They miss a field goal late to go up 5, which means obviously anything other than a touchdown you win. And then don't get me started on the last seconds with the 60-yarder and then the 45-yard field goal.
Yeah, these 60-yarders are nothing now. And you get the ball at the 35-yard line, 2 first downs, you're in field goal range. And the Colts played for a 60-yard field goal. They didn't try to improve. They didn't try to go for more yards. They're like, no, we're good. The Cowboys, it's like, 64. Yeah, we're good. It's not a big deal. Although aesthetically, the NFL wants those high-scoring plays, and then all of a sudden you bring out the least football-like player, and he's going to decide these games. But, man, the pressure. Brandon Aubrey, who's going to be a free agent, 64-yarder. So 4 career field goals of at least 60 yards. He'll end up with the longest. I wouldn't be surprised he ends up with a 67, 68-yarder and passes Justin Tucker on the all-time list.